How do you think Brodie Croft looked today?
Thought he looked like Brodie Croft, but in a better coloured jersey.
Leeds has won back-to-back rugby league titles. The golden generation finally has its golden fleece. No England game, it seems, is complete without a Ryan Hall try. Jamie Peacock.
Kevin Sinfield.
Rob Burrow.
Jamie Jones Buchanan for Leeds.
It's one of the most popular beards in rugby league.
There aren't many in Super League that can do that.
We just want to be a great friend, and if we can all try and be a bit of a better friend from time to time, I think we have a bit of a better place to live in.
The Lot Pod is kindly sponsored by Fast Signs. Fast Signs are an established family-run business who have been providing businesses around Leeds and West Yorkshire with effective signs and graphics for almost 30 years. Fast Signs are passionate about helping customers make a statement with signs that are eye-catching, effective and delivered fast. Hi everyone, welcome to the Lot Pod, the Leeds Rhinos Lot 17A podcast, kindly sponsored by Fast Signs. It is weekly roundup time, but weekly roundup with a big twist. Big news update from the club earlier this week, which means it's time for a big news update podcast, which I must explain is not an emergency podcast. They are two separate things. They are completely different. This is our first ever big news update podcast / weekly update podcast. Joining me as always, my right-hand man, my co-host, but our amazing Statman Reese. How are you?
Yeah, we're all good. We're all good. I was expecting us to do some sort of midweek pod this week. I wasn't expecting it to be the usual weekly pod. I even said to you yesterday morning that I should have put a bet on you that nothing was said. And lo and behold, we did have some news.
I'm saying nothing. It's absolutely sealed. Just on that match review panel, we put some clips together on our socials, and I have to apologise because Harriet could hear the editing of the podcast and she was appalled by my bad language. So I feel like I have to apologise to everyone because Harriet were like, that just sounds so unbelievably awful. And I was just like, you know what, it does. So I apologise to everybody. I hold my hands up. I swore far too many times, and I promised I'm never ever going to do that again. I think I need.
You need a beeper as well as a bell.
Yeah, we need the bell.
I was about to say we got great feedback. I got loads of great feedback about the pod.
We did, but it was just as soon as Harriet made that comment, I was like, oh, I felt so small and embarrassed.
It was emotion, Eddie. It was emotion. It was frustration.
I said, you know, I penned it on, but I do apologise, everyone. I think Duncan's now my podcast idol. He's never sworn on the podcast since he found out / realised we have younger listeners, and I think I feel like Duncan's now my no swearing Yoda. He's my no swearing Jedi master. Producer Chris is here as well. How are you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm
excellent. It's been quite strange because this is the first time the three of us, the Lot Pod 3, have been together in quite some time, which is quite remarkable to say that we book the guests for this podcast.
Yeah, it is. But we all keep going on holiday or having babies, apart from Chris. Chris is the only one that's been consistent, to be fair, and available. But yeah,
bail on.
You did bail last week, yeah. So you've had your turn now.
It was just one off the bench, one starting. Reese, although we do have a lot of news, and we are going to discuss all that, of course, and preview the Cas game in true weekly roundup fashion, shall we start with some club news?
Yeah, we will just go through the results. So the netball side won again away at Surrey. So they won 63-55, which is a fantastic result for them. But more importantly, for the netball team, I don't know if people were aware, but they were reducing the number of teams in the Netball Super League for next season, and I think it was reducing down to 8. And the Leeds team have been restored as one of those 8 teams, which is fantastic, which means we're keeping a team. It's also furthering the professional game for netball, so the money's going up as well and growing the game. So congratulations to the netball team for retaining their place. The women's under-19s academy were the only team to win against St Helens last weekend, so they won 26-14 in their result away. Our under-18s men's academy unfortunately lost 46-10 to St Helens away. And unfortunately, the women also lost in a close contest to St Helens 12-6. But they will get revenge in the Challenge Cup later on this month or next month. So what's on this week then? The reserves are playing tomorrow night. And that will be at Stanningley. And that's a £5 entry for adults, £3 entry for concessions. What's also happening tomorrow is the open set training session at Headingley. I believe it's a 10 o'clock start from memory. So if you want to go watch the open training session, the team run, that's happening tomorrow. The women continue their Super League journey, I believe, with a game against Barrow on Saturday, and that's kicking off at 2:45. And that will be at Headingley as part of a double header. So it's a Saturday afternoon. Get down there early to watch the women. And the Leeds Rhinos netball team will also be playing on Saturday afternoon against Seven Stars at University of Huddersfield from there. So that's the results and fixtures, Eddie. Do I need to do the news headline, or do you think everyone knows?
Yes, well, you're right. There is really only one place to start after the announcement that we heard earlier this week. Of course, Rishi Sunak did announce that national service is coming back.
Which means we've lost Jackson Field, Ned McCormack, all of them.
Our academy players there.
We can't play any kids.
This Conservative government, they're not going to back down. Of course, I'm only joking. Leeds Rhinos announced they've revealed a major restructuring of the club's performance department with plans to appoint a new sporting director to lead the rugby department. The sporting director will oversee the rugby league operation, providing leadership for the coaching, playing staff in line with the club's strategy and vision, the management of the salary cap, compliance, player and staff recruitment and retention, youth development, medical departments. This person is essentially going to be running Leeds Rhinos. So it's a massive, massive appointment. I'll start with Chris, if I can, just on this sporting director, Chris, because this is something that not only have a lot of Rhinos fans kind of been calling for a while now, but you yourself have spoken about this on more than one occasion, this director of this role that obviously the Rhinos are recruiting for now. What did you make, Chris, when Leeds made this announcement and you were proven right?
When you've just reeled off the responsibility, it's massive, isn't it?
I've never known a role like now. Sorry, Chris, I don't know if this is always the quote-unquote job description, but it just feels like a mammoth job for someone.
It's not a director of rugby, is it?
It feels very different to what I thought a director of rugby is.
It seems a hell of a role, especially recruiting quick. So it's definitely the right thing to do. The timing is weird.
Yeah.
Depending on how you look at it. It's 100% what they've needed. It's just who is there to do it. Now, the timing, does that make you think that he's already got someone in mind?
Potentially. June is very soon.
Yeah, which it really...
I mean, it's tomorrow.
Yeah,
exactly.
It really surprised me.
If you're listening to this tomorrow. Yeah. It's now.
It really surprised me to put sort of like a date on it. So that almost leads me to think that he's got someone in mind. I don't think it should be someone from within the club at the moment. I think it needs someone fresh to come in. I ain't even got a clue who that'd be. It's like, I know you were probably going to say, who do you think? I don't even know who's qualified for that role.
Is anybody on the planet?
Well, Australia, yeah, they've got a lot of people that do that sort of role, but it's quite, even a director of rugby is quite uncommon over here, isn't it? So, I mean, Richie Myler's not going to take it.
But he's kicking himself.
But he's
About a month too late.
But just with the scope, like just when you read it out, then you think, geez, because he's not just responsible for Rhino's first team, or it's the whole.
It's the rugby department, isn't it? We've heard that term used by Rob Oates quite a few times, which is rugby department, and I get the feeling that this is part of Gary's role as things stand at the moment, but I also think it's taking off a bit of responsibility from the head coach role as well. I think from a rugby department perspective, we've heard when we spoke to Rob Oates, he always sort of talked about, well, he said the rugby department is the best it's ever been, which clearly it's not. But, that seemed to be on Rowan when he was phrasing that as opposed to someone else. So I do think there's responsibilities from each of them. And I do think, whilst I know, Chris, I know you suggested it, Josh was talking about it only on the match review panel last week. Duncan's has suggested it. I think everyone, when they
he's applied for it, never mind.
Yeah, Duncan's applied for it, yeah.
Duncan's officially applied. Lots of exclusive.
I haven't seen anyone go, this is wrong at all. I think everyone can agree it's the right thing to do and what we should be doing. It's like Gary Hevington was saying in his interview. It's the modern way. It's the trend of doing things. I think my big question with it all is why now? Part of me is like my cynical part of my mind. One, are we deflecting? Are we deflecting from what's going on? I don't think so. I don't know. It feels weird to be announced mid-season. I would have thought it would have been a role such as that. It feels very rare that you advertise it out as such as you do. It more feels like an executive search that is done behind the scenes and gets announced at a separate time.
When Kev came back, it was just announced.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It feels more like it would be an executive search that's done behind the scenes, and at the end of the season you go, we've got this new role, whereas I think the announcement has been as a distraction, but it was the first time we've heard this season, really, Gary Hevington also say we need to improve now as well as in the long term.
Yeah, so I think there's a PR element to it. Definitely. I think it's maybe not ill-advised, but I don't think it'll appease the people that are angry anyway. I don't think it will. So I don't think it's a PR disaster, but I don't think it's probably the PR thing that he wanted, because people are just going to still say, "Sod that, sack him."
Sack him.
To be fair, I think when he appointed Rowan Smith, a lot of those jobs that you've mentioned, he did put them on Rowan, looking at the rugby department and having a holistic view over everything. So it's just the right thing to do. Let the coach.
Yeah, I agree.
Coach and let this.
Well, no. Let a future coach, not this one. This one still needs to go. But I'm sorry. I just thought to jump in at that point. Don't let this coach. Let another one coach.
You might have someone in mind. Maybe Rowan Smith's moving upstairs.
Maybe
please don't. Could you imagine? Could you imagine that?
Just to wind everybody up. There's obviously a lot of pressure.
As it happens, he'd probably be really good at that, because the stuff that he has done that is good, he's sorting.
He's trying everything out back. Yeah, just flip him over. There's been a lot of pressure on Rowan Smith to get Rhinos into some form. Do you think, Chris, this announcement? Do you think it relieves some pressure on Rowan at all? If the fans look at it to say, because like Reece said earlier, pretty much every Rhinos fan, or the largest majority, has looked at this announcement from the club and nodded along and gone, yeah, good thing to do. Do you think it's relieved any pressure at all on Rowan, or do you perhaps think
the only pressure I can probably think it's relieved is that I know you might. I think you disagreed with this, Reece, but I think whoever comes in, I think it's their job to sort it out. I don't think they can announce this, then sack the coach, because unless he's already got a person involved and he's spoken to, it's got to be their decision. Otherwise, they're undermined from the get-go, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of. I'm wondering what the events will be. I genuinely think that after this weekend, Rowan's done. I'd be very surprised if Rowan's still here, which makes the announcement very strange because you'd think in my mind, in logic, you'd get rid of the coach. You'd then announce the change in the structure. You'd hire someone. You'd bring in someone in the interim. You'd bring the guy that if he's got someone already in mind. You bring that person in saying, this person's coming in, they're starting the role, this person's looking after it in the interim, and when the new sporting director comes, it's their job to find the right coach. So chronologically, in my mind, it doesn't quite map up. I've got a feeling that whilst the intention might be the new person, it's their job to assess it, I have a feeling that decision will be taken out of their hands. Or another way of looking at it is Gary shirking away from making that decision by appointing someone else to do it. But chronologically, for me, it doesn't really map up how I would do it. I would get rid of the coach, announce the change in the structure, especially if you've got someone in mind, and then put an interim in and let them find the new coach.
I can't imagine Gary Everton shirking something. It doesn't sit right with me. I mean, I don't know. I think what he's probably thinking, I think he's probably got someone already. Get them in. The coach will be gone, but it looks like it's the new person's decision.
Yeah.
As in they come in and sweep it clean, rather than Gary Everton's got rid, then someone comes in.
Yeah.
It might just be it looks like the new guy has come in with an iron fist.
Yeah, made a big decision.
PR-wise. He's come in, done what the fans want. And I don't know. It's such a weird announcement.
It's crazy.
Sort of second guessing.
I mean, Eddie, what do you think? Because obviously you're asking us the questions. Do you think
Reece,
it will be up to this person to...
Reece, I've done this for 2 years.
I know, but exactly. That's why I'm trying to make you answer the question for once, because I'd be interested to know what your opinion is on this. So,
I think, like everyone, as I said earlier, everyone's nodding along, thinking this is a good idea to appoint this person, and I fully agree with that. My concern would be this Castleford game, which we are going to come onto and kind of discuss in a bit more detail. My concern is, as Chris says there, I think they'll want it to be appoint new person, a sporting director, like Chris said. They come in. It looks good, bad for them. However you look at it, if they get rid of Rowan, people get what they want. People have, whatever may be the case. But my concern would be if, God forbid, we lose on Saturday against Castleford, and because a lot of people are saying that would be sacrilege, and Rowan Smith would simply have to be sacked. The club, if that was the case, the club would then be looking for a head coach / interim head coach and a sporting director. Now, to me, you asked my opinion. If that was to happen, as a fan of however many years, I'd be looking at Leeds Rhinos, and I'm just saying, if that were to happen, I'd be looking at Leeds Rhinos as a club in disarray.
it is a lot of change to go through at once.
I think that they'd cut the nose off to spite the face, and I'd look at Leeds Rhinos and think, what is actually happening over there?
It's a bit different to what happened at Hull, because they sacked Tony Smith, didn't they?
Yeah.
And that's the order I think it should happen.
But they haven't done it that way, so I don't think...
No, they haven't. They might not have hired someone. They might not have hired someone by the time they make the announcement. Because I generally think, Chris, Rowan's lost the majority of fans. You know, Eddie, you and Chris Human said how deplorable the performance was from the players, and Eddie, you were saying how you felt that he'd lost the players. If they lose on Saturday, they'll have lost even more fans, and and the evidence is there. They'll have to get rid of him. So that's why it feels strange to. I've actually not really thought about the chronological events until we started talking about it, but for me it was, why didn't you just wait until Castleford, see what happened, and then you've got your 2-week break to decide it. It all feels a bit in the wrong chronological order, and I agree with Eddie. I said on another pod at the start of the season, My biggest concern would be someone else leaving in strange circumstances, because it would be something's clearly not right at the club. And I get Eddie's disarray comments, but the choice will be taken away from Leeds.
What about this?
If we see what we did on Saturday.
This for a different angle on it. Rowan Smith knows he's going, and what they've done as a dignified exit. New director of rugby comes in. Rowan Smith says, "My role's changed."
Make himself redundant.
Yeah, basically say my role's changed, and I don't think I can continue with this. And leaves.
Good point.
By his own accord. Do you know what I mean? Because
it would that way would certainly look better on Rowan personally. For Rowan, he could say, "I wasn't sacked.
Well,
I walked away."
It's not that. It looks better. It can look better on the club.
Yeah.
Because they've not sacked another coach. Basically, director of rugby or whatever it is comes in. It's planned that Rowan will say, because this has happened, my job has changed, and I'm leaving. No, whether people will buy that or not, I don't know, but it still certainly looks better than sacking someone. I'm not a big fan of sacking people. I think it's crept in a bit from football, really. But the problem that Rowan's got is it's becoming untenable, isn't it? So maybe this is a way. It happens all the time in business. My job's changed, so I'm gonna. I don't feel I can give my best to this. I'm gonna
leave. Yeah.
The more and more I think about it, the more I do think it is a bit. The timing of it feels a bit of a deflection, and maybe it will depend on what happens over the weekend. An unwise chronological set of events, but we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see.
I don't think it ultimately matters. If you get a month down the line, you've got a director of rugby. Rowan's gone however way.
Yeah.
Same outcome.
Same outcome.
I think also maybe Gary's a bit stubborn as well, and doesn't want to look to be giving into fan pressure.
Yeah, could be. What I did find most interesting from Gary, from Gary Evington's comments was when he mentioned that this sporting director, could be sourced from outside of rugby league. How would you feel, Reece, if the new Rhinos sporting director had absolutely no rugby league experience or knowledge? Would that? I just found it a bit weird how Gary Evington specifically mentioned that that's a possibility. That fills me with utter dread, to be honest. That why would he say that if that couldn't potentially be? Maybe he's just winding us up, but I just like that was. And
it's almost like the equivalent of focusing on short kickoffs, isn't it, all the time? It doesn't feel natural, does it? Does that? Especially when their role will be involving player recruitment and retention. You need to have a knowledge of
precisely
rugby league. So I'm going to not read too much into that comment, because I don't think that's true. I think some of the names that have been mentioned to at the moment mean that it's kind of Leeds need to decide how much of a director of rugby this role is, and also how much a bit of a managing director role it is, because it feels a bit of a blend of the two. But yeah, for me, if it comes from someone outside of rugby league, it's be very brave.
The only thing is it's someone technically outside rugby league, i.e. that's working in rugby union, but knows rugby league.
I think it's the knowledge of the game. They have to know knowledge of the game.
I think Kevin Sinfield's a non-starter.
What?
Well, he probably would.
Well, but yeah, it's funny. We're talking about Kevin Sinfield earlier because I was looking at his comments from when he left, and his comments were that my position now is further away from performance than I ever thought it was. The role changed, and it did change a lot during COVID as well. So I don't think Kevin's a name that is probably right and appropriate.
Kevin's
for
always
it.
right and appropriate.
Tell you what, though, there's a few ex-rugby league legends within rugby union that could probably do the job.
There's more than one, yeah.
Yeah, which probably brings us on to the question of, should it be one from the generation, a legend, a job for the mates?
No, unless it's Kevin Sinfield, because I'd always have Kevin Sinfield at Leeds Rhinos all the time, whenever, which I said to my good friend JD on BBC Radio Leeds. But I do agree with Chris. I think someone fresh coming in.
It was a right little name drop that. It's because I've not been on recently, so he likes to wind me up about it.
It's because I feel there's some potentially tough decisions for this new person to make. And if that's someone that's got ties and a past with the Rhinos, they may find that a little more difficult and be softer. I don't know. But I'd much prefer... Do you know what I'd prefer? I'd prefer a tough-assed, ugly Aussie. With one eye.
I can understand.
I prefer Kevin Sinfield, but if it isn't Kev, then someone from Australia I've never heard of.
I can understand the comments of it needs to be someone that knows the club and knows how to win at Leeds. I can understand that. But part of me's like, there's part of my head that's going, we just need to move on from that generation, and maybe someone coming in with fresh ideas and outside ideas would be useful. In the names the names that I saw mentioned, there was the Salford managing director was mentioned because of what he's done with Salford and how he's turned that around. There is one name that keeps getting, or a couple of names that keep getting mentioned. One, Jamie Peacock, but I'm not sure he enjoyed the role when he did it at KR.
He did sign Danny Maguire though, so
he did sign. Sorry, it's back.
If he comes back to Leeds and signs Danny,
the other name that I saw was Kyle Lulawai, because he does an off-field role at Robington, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he's a hard bastard, Eddie. he fills that criteria.
What about a curveball for you? Not the golden generation. What about someone from generation before?
I can't remember that, Chris.
Ellery Hanley.
Ellery, yeah. Another one.
I'm not saying it should be him. I'm just spitballing names older than the golden generation. Personally, I think it should be somebody a bit younger with fresh ideas. But the problem with that is the reach of that role. You can't have someone inexperienced.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I think when he says it's going to be done by early June, when June is, and we're recording on the Thursday night, so tomorrow, so today most likely when you're listening to this, he must have someone in his mind, because recruitment for this type of role takes a lot longer than that. There's stages, there's interviews, there's presentations, there's meeting the board. Like, this ain't a quick appointment, in my opinion. So it must have been something they're working on in the background already.
The only thing that worries me about that is if it's an internal.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be rushed either. But yeah, internal or rushed.
The only person I think internal that wouldn't make me go, my God, is Matt Cook.
Yeah.
The general manager.
Yeah. Any of the others, and it'd just make me think, here we go again.
Oh, God.
But I don't, it's such a weird one. It's like we can throw names about. I ain't got a clue. I don't even know anyone. Like I say, I don't even know anyone that's qualified to do what they want me to do. So
I'm absolutely, maybe it's just me, but I'm petrified by this appointment. I just think.
It's such a significant change for the club, isn't it? It's such a significant change because Sinfield took it on. He left, and we were told that Agar would coach, and then he would go into that role. And obviously, he didn't. And so I've just realised it's the 31st tomorrow. I've just realised it's the 31st tomorrow, so it's not tomorrow. Thanks, Andy. It's the day after.
Cheers, Andy. Please, Andy, I hope you were aware, Andy, in the YouTube comments, by the way. All three of us were nodding along going, yep, it's June tomorrow.
As you always said, Eddie, just say it with confidence, and it's true. But yeah, the role is such a big... It's such a big shift for the Rhinos because we're so used to Gary Hetherington doing that role. We had an 18-month stint when Kevin did it, and then we fell back into Gary Hetherington doing it. We thought Agar was going to take that on, and obviously that didn't come off. So I can understand how it's a nervous appointment because it is a very, very big shift. for the club in how they're managing it. But this role will only thrive if, well, one, if they get it right, but two, if they allow the person to thrive in the role and actually let them do it and let them be, what's the word, autonomous.
I'm not nervous, Eddie.
I am.
Every day's never a dull day with Leeds Rhinos, is there?
No, and it's the biggest soap opera in rugby league.
It'll give us some odd numbers if it's somebody really bad.
We've mentioned there some really big names. Obviously, we're just chucking names out, and everyone's doing it in our YouTube comments as well. But Reece, do you feel like we've said some big names there? You know, Kevin, Ellery, Kylie. Again, absolutely nothing in these. We're just kind of going along with it. Do you feel that this sporting director, Reece, needs to be a big name to kind of have be attractive to players, retaining players, recruiting players, or do you think it's potentially a role where, as you said there, they'll be given time to build their own reputation, whoever they may be?
I'd love it to be a big name, but a bit like Chris said, it's such a new role.
The new
I've no idea what a big name would be for this and who would do it. So I think it would need to be it'd be great to have a big name because obviously that helps with the retention and recruitment, which is a big part of the role. But your coach plays a big part in your recruitment and retention, not necessarily managing it, but in terms of wanting to play for that coach. So whilst I've said I can understand, I'm kind of on board with the idea of having someone from outside the club, an outside big name, taking on this senior sporting director role, the coach needs to be someone that knows the club, and the combination of the two should be enough to retain and recruit the right people for the squad, and have that alignment with the strategy and vision of the club. But I think it's about time we had a big name, because we haven't had a big name for a while. So yeah, I would always have a big name, Eddie. But I just, in this role, I don't know what a big name is, because we've just mentioned those 5 names there, but we could be completely barking up the wrong tree.
Might be Johnny Wilkinson.
Someone just put Clive Woodward. I heard Michael Chekai mentioned. Like I've heard all these names, and I'm like, Eddie Jones. Someone put in the comments.
Let's say every single name under the sun, and then when one of them's appointed, we can come back on here and say, everybody, we told you. We told you it's going to be Brian Noble.
Sam Allardyce.
Yeah, we told you it's going to be Sam Allardyce. Have to get Rob Oates selling pints of wine in South Stand Concourse if it's Sam Allardyce.
It's just such a bizarre one, isn't it? That
it's unknown territory.
Coaches, we can all throw stuff out like, you know, I'd be ecstatic if Brad Arthur was announced next week, personally. But with coaches, we can all sort of say someone because you know whether they're good coaches or not, or whatever, or you can see what they're doing. But this, we haven't got a bloody clue.
I do wonder if there's a rising star in the NRL, someone that's a bit of a protege to a director of rugby for an NRL team that might want to take on, because it should be an exciting opportunity for a lot of people. But it can't be when we're talking big names, Richie Myler isn't one. It can't be. I don't think it should be like that. It can't be someone like that, because I think that would.
It's taken. We can't get him now. He's gone.
It would increase Eddie's nervousness somewhat more. The sporting director is going to be. Sorry, Chris. The sporting director is going to be someone that's continuous. They will help build that squad, and they will have a big say in that squad as well. And the coach, it's got to be someone that the coach is going to want to work with as well.
You see, you say that there, Chris. Reece, sorry. Do you think there could be, because obviously the announcement mentioned that the sporting director would retain and recruit players and kind of, like Chris said earlier, leave the coach to coach. But do you think there could be some potential conflict there? Because what if the newly appointed sporting director wants, I don't know, feels the squad needs 2 centres and a halfback, and when he speaks to the coach, he says, I think we need 2 props and a loose forward.
That's how good organisations run. When
it's the same as football, isn't it? The director of football, isn't it?
More than one voice. You look at Wigan; they've got Chris Radlinski's CEO. They've actually got Sean Wayne doing he's got like not a director of rugby, but something similar.
It's like a non-advisory, isn't it?
And then they'll liaise with Matty Pete, won't they? So it's like a
collaboration.
Actually, how a good organisation should run, because if you've just got one person ultimately making a decision, and that one person is also the coach, as we're seeing now, there's no question, is there? So it's like, if there was a director of rugby now looking at what Rowan's doing, then there's more accountability there, isn't there? Whereas now, Gary Hetherington has employed him to do everything, and he's just going to say, yeah, it's fine, whatever. But you need more than one person. And even more than two, like I said, Wigan have probably got it right how they do it. They've got a young, smart, or relatively young, smart CEO in Chris Radlinski. But
they've allowed a coach to coach, haven't they? Like, Matty P it was his first head coaching job at that level, and I can't imagine he knew about the salary cap compliance. He would have had to learn all of that, and the player retention, like all that, all his responsibility. They've thrived. You can argue that they thrived by letting Matty Pete be a coach and having the say in the recruitment and letting them go and do the recruitment separately.
So, like, Matty Pete's the guy that can put his arm around a player if they need it, can coach game day tactics or whatever, but the business of salary cap management and all that is left to someone else, so it's not his problem. I'm sure Matty Pete will say, look, I could do with 20 forwards, which he's managed to get, but
we've got 3.
And it's up to the other people to maybe spot the right player, and then up to the CEO to get the deal, and they manage the salary cap. That's why this is the right move, but it's got to be the right person and then the right coach, hasn't it? Because I don't think Rowan, whether you like him or not, put all that aside and the results and performances, right? So Rowan doesn't seem the type of coach that would want 2 other people dictating. I could be wrong. So you need a coach like Matty Pete that just wants to coach them players.
Yeah.
And leave all the other shite, excuse my French, to other people within the club. It's no coincidence that Wigan are currently where they are, because they've got the back set up. When they appointed Chris Radlinski, I think a few people were like,
what? Yeah.
Zeno is too young, he's too
Well, they did the same when they appointed Matty Pete as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, just last year people wanted him out, but what they've done is they've recognised what he's good at and let him do it.
When we appointed Rowan, when he came in, I think a high majority, a minority of Leeds fans kind of agreed that he needed time to kind of bed in and put his philosophy across, etc., however that may have panned out. Do you feel the same for this sporting director, Reece? Do we need to give this person time, or should we kind of demand change now? How do you see it? I feel this person's going to really need some time to settle in, no matter who they are, whether they are a big name, whether they're someone from the NRL. I think they're going to need time to kind of get the teeth into this new role.
Yeah, I mean, depending on who it is, they might not be released straight away, and they might not be ready available, so they might not even be able to start straight away either. I think when we remember me and you talking, was it last season or when Rome started, that this was always going to be a year the pressure was on for Rome. We always said the first half of the season was a write-off, sort of just get up, do what you can. Your first full year was the building one, and the second full year is the year you went for it. I don't want that to be the case, because I'm just sick of us in transition, and we're going to be in transition again because we had that heavy recruitment. But I think, and I'm not sure how much they will be able to do with the salary cap as well, because we are at the top, towards the top of it at the moment. But I think it doesn't necessarily... Does it need shaking up? No, I think we've got the quality of players that should be performing better and should be higher placed in the league. So the decisions are going to come round with coaching, retaining those best players and making the right additions in the right places, which I don't think will take a lot to mean we're a top 4 side. I won't unnecessarily shake the beast if it doesn't need to happen.
No, but I don't think we need to... we don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater, do we? So, like, I referenced Hull.
I love that saying. Sorry, but I love that saying.
I referenced Hull before. The whole setup in Hull is a mess, was a mess. I don't think that's the case with us. I don't think we can look at the on-field performances this year and then automatically assume that everything in the organisation is bad.
No, the women are doing all right.
I don't think it is. Well, I think the juniors are coming through better, aren't they? And I think there is.
Well, you are right, Chris. The club isn't broken from within.
So
maybe not. Hopefully not. I really hope it's not.
This is this director coming in and needing to totally wipe the slate clean. I don't think we're in that much of a mess. I think we can all get caught up in recent performances or whatever and think that everything's bad, but I don't think that's the case. I think from my point of view and sort of looking at it as a business and sort of that sort of view, I think what we've lost is the identity of the club a bit, and what they're all striving for. It's all, and that's because of the endless cycles we've had in the last 7 years. I think what's got lost is what is everyone trying to achieve with the club?
With it, yeah.
And it's all right saying, yeah, well, we need to be back in top 4 and we need to be winning things. That's not enough, is it? As a club, you need to start getting your values.
You want to bring that fire back at Headingley.
Yeah.
That
want Rhinos to be and what should they be? Because it's not just the golden generation. You look back before that. I know it's before your time, Reece, but it was still... It's a big club, isn't it? So it's not just replicating the golden generation.
Biggest in the world.
I think there's simple things for the sporting director to fix. Choose the right coach. We need to sort the pack out and just shift. We need to get a new pack, or build on what we've got, i.e., build on Oledsky. But I don't think it's rocket science. I think a good coach will get this team into a top 4, top 5, and with the right additions and shifting around or promotion of young players, the squad will be fine for next year.
Yeah, I don't think we're far off squad wise. I know it probably doesn't seem that, but I think this probably leads on to when we talk about Castleford. I think the biggest thing that's happened in the last few weeks, they just look short of confidence.
I thought you were going to swear again then.
That's the worst thing for a sporting team, isn't it?
Well, as Eddie said, it looked like they'd given up on him, on themselves. And there's one thing losing the fans, but if you've lost the players...
Oh, yeah, there's no
going back.
If you've lost the players now, but it doesn't make them bad players, does it?
No.
I'll question their attitude. I'll question their attitude, and I was absolutely fuming with them on last Friday.
It'd have been great to have Chris on, wouldn't it? If he could have made it last week.
Because he was actually angry. I've not seen Chris angry before.
Yeah, I was fuming, but I was fuming.
It was text angry though, wasn't it? Text angry's.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have had him on the pod.
That'd have probably been quite nice. I was absolutely fuming with the players as much as anything, because I still don't think you should give up. Whether you don't want the coach there or not, I think it's a terrible look.
Yeah.
And it can't be good for anyone's confidence, can it?
No, it can't.
Well, speaking of the players, shall we move on to the preview of Cass?
Why not?
So, in terms of team news, I've got the Castleford team news here. They've made one change from their squad that beat Hull last week, with Sammy Kibula being replaced by Jacob Miller. Can't pretend I knew who the first person was. And then in the Rhinos 21-man squad, we have some players returning, hopefully. Momorowski. Is so you've just thrown me off, Eddie. Momorowski is back in the side, and also Alfie Edgell is included in the side. We are without Matty Russell after his 28-minute career for the Rhinos. He's out with a HIA, and obviously we are still missing the likes of Holroyd, Fusitua, Bentley from there as well.
Gannon,
yeah,
of course.
You're looking forward to it?
No.
I think that silence said everything.
Yeah, I'm really not at the moment. To be honest, I've not looked forward to watching, other than Catalan, because I was drunk in the south of France and it was sunny and blue sky. I'm not really sure I've looked forward to watching a Rhinos game for a while. And that's what I mean, and that's part of my reason that we need a change, because I don't think I'm alone in saying that I'm going to go to Headingley going, we should be winning this, but I don't think we will.
I don't mind the home games because it's my ritual. Do you know what I mean? I like going to the home games, whatever happens really. I can get a
Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening kickoff for us change.
Perfect time, perfect day.
Where it's affected me has been the away games. And I think that's mainly, and this isn't having a go at anyone, it's just my personal preference that at the away games it's smaller crowd, like Leeds crowd, more vocal and more toxic, and I don't find
it'll be Chris, as soon as Casco 6-0 up on Saturday, Headingley will be very, very toxic.
Maybe
it's impossible.
Maybe it's where I sit, but it doesn't ever seem to get that bad where I sit. But the away games, like, I've not looked forward to it. And I love away games, but anyway. So
yeah, but I think, look, criticism is rightly out there at the moment. I am nervous for this game. I am. I think Cass have won made more points than us since we played them. They're coming off a good victory against Hull. They will be out to get a victory. It's their FA Cup final coming over to Headingley. They want to piss on our parade. If those players don't get up for it or show the same backbone that we've seen in recent weeks, that team will fold and Cass will win. As soon as Cass get any little sniff of momentum, they won't let it go.
That's kind of what I'm quite intrigued and looking forward to going for. Is I want to see how they react, because if the team doesn't react this week, A, the coach has lost them, but B, them players should know that they need to perform, and they shouldn't escape criticism for giving up. So
I agree with that. They should hold themselves accountable as well.
I'm interested to see how they turn up. Like end of last year, when they walloped Cass after getting beaten 50-0 or whatever twice, you could visibly see that they needed to win that. And I want to see the same, because at the end of the day, we have still got a decent team that will be running out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't put any effort in, I'll be as annoyed as last Friday.
I'm really looking forward to it. First of all, I've never ever, and I never will be worried about playing Castleford Tigers ever. They're not worried to me. I'm really, 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 really looking forward to it, because I'm taking my two eldest kids to this game, and it's their first ever game. And today, for our YouTube subscribers, viewers, I want to show you these two signs that they've made. So they're absolutely buzzing. That's one.
So if that's not worth a like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, I'm not sure what is.
And at the end of the day,
sorry, Chris. Yeah, sorry. I've just got to show you something, because my eldest, there's a shelf just there, and it's got a ZB Creative Danny Maguire scoring the 2017. I'm diving over to score up there. And I haven't mentioned Danny Maguire. The kids are interested in rugby. I haven't mentioned it. Now, there's a picture of Danny Maguire here, and you can see what my eldest wrote underneath it.
Best player. Best player.
I did not tell them to write that.
So they're going to be cheering him on.
Castleford.
Well, I was like, how did you? I said, you always talk about Dua, and then my
Yes.
younger one said, I'm really excited to see him play, and I was like, oh, he don't play anymore.
The other positive though about you bringing your kids on Saturday, Eddie, is that obviously you'll get the memory of their first game, but they're probably too young they're probably not going to fully remember the game itself if we do lose.
They won't care. Young kids.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it's good all around for them.
They won't care. And to be fair, one thing that that the club do well is those family days.
Yes,
Saturday.
Absolutely.
So they'll enjoy it, and that is what it's all about. We can come on here and moan and all that, but your kids won't remember that.
and I think regardless of the game, and Leeds will win, but of the result, I think I'm still going to be buzzing because of this.
Yeah.
But it's not about me. I just thought I'd mention it because I absolutely love those signs. So we move on
Lineup
to the
prediction.
squad and what we think.
Yeah.
Is it in terms of the squad of Momorowski back, Chris? Is there much change? We're not sure. Is Sinfield injured? Is he not injured? Have we had any confirmation on that? And
No, because he didn't play for Halifax, did he?
He didn't. I mean,
And he's not in Halifax's squad, is he again?
I don't think so. Frawley, Sinfield, Momorowski. Who would you like to see come in, if anyone, Chris?
Momorowski, I think we've missed him. So that I want him to stay for a full game with Ash. When was the last time that happened?
Round 1.
So I want to see because I thought that they worked really, really well together.
They did.
So fingers crossed they can get some continuity on that left-hand side. I'd be tempted to pull Edgell in on the wing.
On a wing.
I just think maybe Roberts might just need taking out the firing line a bit.
I can hear Josh literally screaming down his phone now, saying, "This is what I've been saying," because he was saying that he thinks that Roberts just needs taking out the firing line. Edgell's confident under the high ball. He's give him that chance.
So that's it, and I don't think Sinfield will play. I think if he's been recalled from Halifax for a niggling injury or something's happened, then it'll be Frawley. And the only thing that I hope happens is that we come out all guns blazing, we wallop Cass, and they can get some confidence back in it. So everyone can have a go at Frawley all you want, but his confidence is absolutely zero in it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, whether we want rid of him, whether what happens, he's currently got the number 7 shirt at Leeds Rhinos, so we should really want him to pick up some confidence and start playing. So I'm hoping that that's what happens Saturday. The rest of the team just is pretty much as
itself.
I'd like to see little Tom play again.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I don't know. Did you see Ned McCormack's?
Yeah, he got a try for Halifax last week. I've just checked Halifax squad. Sinfield's not mentioned in it, so he was removed. Is he in it as well? I'll have to have a look now because I've just gone off it. But I think you're right, Chris. Momorowski comes back in. I'd be starting Edgell on the wing. If Sinfield's fine, then Sinfield starts for me for that basis. And like every week, Tom Nicholson-Water needs to be starting at prop. But I never get my wish. The only dual change I would make is I'd be starting Andy Ackers ahead of Jared.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that. I think
I didn't say that, Jared.
What I'd be saying to Ackers this week is 100% from start. Go out and Cass might be a team that we can get a bit of a quicker ruck against. So go out and do it. But yeah, it is what it is. Just hope they can get some confidence back.
Do we have some predictions to wrap things up? Anyone want to go first for this one? Nice prediction.
Right.
100 and...
This is probably a first for me, but I'm going to give 2 predictions. But
no way.
If we go behind by more than 1 score, we will not win.
Jesus.
If we start fast and go up by more than 1 or 2 scores, we'll batter them.
Reese?
I have absolutely zero confidence in this. And therefore, I'm going for a 24-10 win to Cass.
Reese won't be on the Castleford podcast. He's
That's
going
honesty.
on holiday for around 3 to 4 months.
Yeah. You want honesty? That's honesty.
End of the season. We're calling in a new statsman, just on agency. Is that right, Chris? He's just coming in for a couple of months. I think the Rhinos will absolutely batter Castleford. Castleford won't score, which is what I've promised my kids. And Leeds will win 50-0. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Reese. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Thanks, everyone, for watching. If you've enjoyed this live stream, we do sometimes live stream, but please, all of our content is on our YouTube channel. If you head over to YouTube and search The Lot Pod, hit that subscribe button. We hit the 500 subscribers mark. We're now making our way to that 1,000 mark. If you please do promote the page to your friends and family. Tell them all about us. Please give us 5 stars on Spotify. It just pushes up that podcast list even further. And if you have really enjoyed this podcast, if you've enjoyed what me, Chris, and Reese do, please consider subscribing to us on Patreon. All the details will be below this video right here in the top pinned comment. And it's also, all the details are also available on X and on all of our socials. Us three, you lucky sods, will be back again to review the Castleford match review panel from the Lot Pod studio. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you then.